Welcome back. Today we're testing the new Hammer Not Urethane. If you like what we do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Patreon. First impressions, the Hammer new, I'd say feels like a Superman, but every Superman has his kryptonite. Okay, let's get into it. Hammer somewhat lightheartedly mocks the PBA and its new urethane hardness by releasing a ball that's not urethane. Novel concept. I mean, call it the not urethane and catch people's attention. The purpose here is to create a ball that will not be subject to the 78D hardness rule while still offering a urethane-like ball reaction. At the outset, I mean, it looks like Hammer has done a great job with something that really serves a nice purpose, despite not really being urethane, and at a closer examination doesn't truly roll like a traditional urethane either. Everyone will naturally want to compare it to the purple, and I'd say, I get it, it's fair, but they're probably more complements, if anything, as opposed to replacements. The new gets down lane easier than your typical diggy urethane cover in friction and is a little more responsive down lane. This all lets you know it's not really urethane as they clearly articulated. I'm on a very typical, very walled up house shot here. I couldn't quite play anything, let's say, pointing it to the pocket. It needed some belly. Even if only a couple boards. The big thing for me was that once I got lined up, I could really play within a nice window. It didn't feel very narrow. I had an area between 9 and 12, and I intentionally tried several different trajectories, angles, where I catch the friction to see how forgiving it is. I wanted to really see if a bowler were to spray it, how much room do they have to still have a nice look. And I was very impressed with the new in that regard. And while I couldn't point it out of the box at this stage, I did have that direct and belly look to the pocket. It really was quite fun. So here comes some bad news. That little nugget of how the ball improved in terms of look as I tested it had to do with the covered lane shining. So what? Well, the new lane shines crazy fast to the point that I'd want to hit the surface after every single game. So out of the box, it hooks, then comes nicely for game two. And by that third game, I really don't understand what's going on. It really feels like the pattern, blew up. But, I actually moved even to a lane with a single game on it. And no, the issue really was that it lane shined so much that there just wasn't enough grit to get the ball going, and it still doesn't really bang down lane like a typical reactive ball. So if you can find a spot to play with it lane shine, you're in the money. If you need it to maintain some surface, like I was a little frustrated by the quick cover change. This isn't the only ball that does this, but I needed to explain the impact. Tyler was next, and I have to say the Hammer new looked quite good for him on this house shot. Um, at least, initial as I did, we almost had two tests in a way. As he started out with the ball still having surface early on, he could actually be quite deep for something you'd potentially consider as a replacement for a urethane reaction. I mean, the new really feels like an extremely smooth and controlled reactive. It probably does this reaction better than any ball we've seen to date that I can recall. He was relatively deep early on, and maybe the only real watch out was to be careful not to get it outside too far down lane. So if the ball was getting to 5 to 7 beyond 35 feet, it's got no chance to make it back. He struggled to find the same zone I had and saw lots of over under while trying to find it. And then the ball comes down while at the same time he squares up more, and voila, there it was. As he goes through the second arrow, he had several boards room at the break point to get the ball to the pocket and carry. After this testing, we moved to a different pair for testing in comparison to other equipment. Without touching the surface for that, it was pretty lane shine and really over-under. Partway through that test, we hit it with a 1,000 pad and it came back to life. It's really frustrating. For the amount of good there is with the ball reaction, something is taken away with that quick lane shine. And finally, we have Brian, and here are some shots with the Hammer new. Again, you can see that it really isn't urethane shape. I know I keep referencing that, and it's somewhat obvious since it's literally in the name of the ball. However, clearly Hammer was after a similar control shape of urethane while not making it urethane. It's certainly smooth, but yeah, it's not exactly replacing urethane shape. For Brian, you can see the length it gets and a small bit of, shaping down lane. It's okay, easy to keep you close to the pocket, but I'd say Brian is not likely to have use for this shape on house or sport shots. I would say he's accurate enough not to really muck around with a weakness of urethane or what a really smooth, weak shape offers him. Benefit doesn't outweigh the detriment of carry, I would say, generally speaking. And here again, you see how much softer the ball looks after about 1 game's worth of lane shine, which even makes the use case smaller for him. And just for context, here's a quick look at the purple, and you can see how much different the urethane shape truly is. It's either early in the friction with that long walk to the pocket, or it goes 60 feet in the oil. So let's just close this out with final thoughts. At the end of the day, I feel like the Hammer Not Urethane offers something new and exciting for people who want a very smooth control shape out of reactive. If you want urethane shape, you really have to look elsewhere. This is not a replacement for the Purple Hammer. The other point is, and I can't let it go, the lane shine issue, which, I just can't seem to get around, so I have to ding it, especially given that it's already a very weak reactive. Now, lane shine might work for some, and if it does, I'd probably say leave it there.